Hey, Shakana, do you know how to change the background?
Yes.
More. Cannot find it.
Where hmm,
I'm like, I could have sworn it's on the more option. What you say?
click the arrow that's next to the sign that says video, and it'll say adjust background and effects.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm gonna make you co-host now in case you need to share your screen.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Hmm. Hope everybody has had a good weekend, a restful weekend. If you celebrated the 4th, hope you had an amazing holiday weekend as well. Gonna give people a few minutes to join the call, but feel free to come off mute, say good morning if you need anything as we wait for people to join the call. Feel free to drop anything in the chat. We'll probably get started around 11:05, just giving people time to come on in, but feel free to come off mute if you need anything, if you're having any tech issues. I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well, so we'll get started in a few minutes.
Hello, and sending out love to everybody.
Good morning, Miss Ann. Glad you could join us today.
Good morning. It's always good to be with y'all.
I know that we've been having some touch and go with our newsletter. Our newsletter by the end of the month, going into the month of August, will be transforming to a different platform called My Emma, and we'll be just kind of purging out our email list. And so we'll make sure that if you need to get your organization or you as an individual need to get re-signed up for the newsletters, um, we'll make sure that people get a chance to do that. We'll also make sure that if we need to create a new calendar invite, just so that people can continue to have the meeting on their calendars, we will ensure that that is possible as well. But in the meantime, I will be dropping a few links in the chat. We have quite a few events coming up. We know that it's summertime and that we are just kind of at our peak for events that different orgs may be having around the city. So we also just want to make sure that we are just keeping each other looped in on what's been going on in the sector, things that have been, just kind of relevant in your world, in your org. We also have a new grant at CFMT that I think would be really beneficial for a lot of our village orgs to look into. The link for that is in the newsletter, and I will be dropping that in the chat shortly as well. We will be in person this month, as well as if you had a chance to attend our village town hall where we got to talk a little bit about the Imagine Nashville findings and we got to really dive deep into that. Thank you so much for being able to attend that. We'll be back in person again at Turk. If you aren't familiar with Turk, Turk partnered with Community Foundation, got to launch what we call the Belonging Fund here at Community Foundation, which has just been providing so much support in light of just all of the issues that we've been experiencing in terms of with immigrants and the refugee population. Turk has been providing a lot of support and education around that. So if your organization, serves that population, please, please, please make sure you are in attendance for that meeting. Again, we will be in person at the Turk building just to be able to get kind of acclimated into that space, acclimated with that partnership, and learn more about the support that Turk offers, more about support that you can offer your organization, even if you don't directly serve communities. I just think that we just are in a climate where everybody just kind of needs to be briefed on that knowledge, on that language, and just kind of know how to point somebody into the right resources and accesses to that. So I also will be dropping the information to that in the chat as well. But I also just want to be mindful of the time. I know that towards the end of the call, we will have many people want to come off mute and talk a little bit about what's happening in their world. So in light of the time, we will get things started. And then at the end of the call, if anybody needs to come off mute for any questions or announcements, feel free to do so. Ashley, give me a thumbs up if you're good. Okay. It's 11:05, so we're gonna get things started. As people join in the call, if people have any questions, I'll keep an eye on the chat.
Cool. Good morning, everybody. I am really excited to present this. If you know anything about me, you probably have heard me maybe speak about marketing or branding, but I have really been on this health journey and really seeing the difference in how I lead. So I've been leading this chat for about 2 months now, and I'm going to continue to share just some things that we're not having conversations about. And so the title of this is called Leading with Energy, and it's about how nutrition, clarity, and presence fuel impactful leadership. And so I'm the founder of Garth Media. My team, we help with social media management, event activations, content creation, graphic design. We launched our agency in 2019. And while I'm a part of the Villages, I also have a nonprofit called Connect, Create, Celebrate. And you may have seen some of the networking events that we've been throwing. But throughout this journey of being an entrepreneur, I was not taking care of myself. And I see so many of us leading on E. So this is going to be a different Ashley today. I'm just going to be honest. It's going to be a little bit of tough love. I'm not going to hold back, and I'm going to probably say some things that you probably have not heard said in a while, because I think when we are operating around people that love and care about us, sometimes they're just not being honest. And so I know a lot of you guys, I see what you're doing in the city. And I know a lot of times we multitask on these calls, but I would just really ask for 20 or 30 minutes of your undivided attention, because I really truly think this information can really help somebody. So this is my wellness journey. I lost 55 pounds last year. I was having some gut health issues. I suffered from high blood pressure, like many of us, and I'm going to share some stats here in a minute. And my energy was it was trash. But I've always been a hustler, like many of you, and I kind of just fought through the pain. And one of those things that I fought through for almost 2 or 3 years was migraines. I had went to have a visit with a neurologist, and the light bulb went off when they didn't even want to hear what I had to say. They literally asked me five questions and said, okay, here's a pill you can take. And knowing me, I'm kind of a rebel. I was like, no, I'm not taking a pill, because you guys have not even taken the time to see what the root cause of it was. So what I later learned is that those migraines were actually red flags from my body, and it was due to my high blood pressure. And so I knew I had high blood pressure for years, but I'm a little stubborn. So I said, I'm just going to work out. I'm going to change my diet and, decrease my stress level because entrepreneurship can be stressful. But year after year, I was still having them. And so this is when I learned about gut health and juicing. And that's what a lot of this presentation is going to be about today. So before I get started, I would love to know in the comments, has anybody in here had an experience with juicing? Has anybody had a weight loss phenomenon that has happened due to juicing? I'm just curious. Any juicers in the house?
I definitely have. Throughout high school, I was always just like chronically dehydrated. I would faint, I would get headaches, kind of same tale. And so I would always just go to the hospital and they would just put me on IV bags and I would be chronically dehydrated and they could never figure out. It just seemed like no matter how much water or Gatorade I drank, it would just never be enough. And when I started juicing, I just noticed that, my body just felt a lot more hydrated. Even when it came to like, my cycle, my cramps wouldn't be as bad. A lot of our problems in our bodies literally are because we're dehydrated. And I've learned that like juicing for me is the best way for my body to really hold on to that hydration that I'm losing throughout the day when it comes to just sweating and just the average every day. And it's just a great way to just, keep keep your body, your levels the way they should be.
Yeah. So yes, I'm a juicer. Recently bought one and it's wonderful. So Nama needs to go ahead and pay me. I talk about their juicer so much. I'm like, just cut me a check. I use the Nama juicer, Nama. I wish I had it out to show you guys. It's a hands-free juicer and it makes the process so easy. So real quick, let me talk about juicing, and I don't want to take a big detour. The reason why juicing is so powerful, and I am going to get a little religious just for about 5 seconds, is because I believe that fruit is really a gift from God. We take pills for so much when fruit, you see my background, I'm upset. I call myself, I'm a fruitivore. I actually gave up meat. No, that's a real thing. I'm a frutivore. I actually gave up meat about a year and a half ago, last May. I don't eat any meat at all. I'm not pescatarian. Um, I could go down a rabbit hole talking about the issues when we are just overloaded with meat. But since I gave all of that away, I'm a social butterfly. I get invited to things, and what do they have for most of our social functions? Free alcohol and free food. And so over time, I would think about it. By Friday, I've had, my go-to, a few spicy margaritas. I've had 5 or 6 spicy margaritas. I've had 3 glasses of wine. So by Friday, I've had about 8 glasses or cups of alcohol, which alcohol to me is literally just poison. It has zero, absolutely no nutritional value at all. So I know we do this socially, but I want us to start thinking about, as leaders, what is the fuel that we're putting in our bodies and is it affecting the way that we lead? So before I go to the next slide, I want to pause and I want to ask everybody, if the people that you lead were in a room and they had to provide feedback about your leadership style, what would they say? Would they say things like, man, she always stressed. We can't do nothing. Everything stresses her out. She's always late. He forgets everything. I don't know why he just doesn't write it down. His anxiety level is through the roof, and I just don't want to be around it. So we create strategies for weight loss, for relationships, but I truly believe that gut health should be a part of our leadership strategy. So why isn't it let me go to the next slide? Okay. I'm going to skip that for now. So let's go over some hard stats. 42% of us are obese. Now, let's talk about obesity, and I hate the word fat. I wish that we could use the term inflamed. what I have learned from losing the 55 pounds and juicing is that when we're overweight, the reason why we're overweight is because we are not eating the foods that are properly detoxing out of our body. That's why we have the weight gain. But with juicing and fruits, those type of foods help to detox the body and eliminate inflammation. And when you start to eliminate inflammation, you achieve weight loss. And so 11% have diabetes. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, but what I have learned and researched about diabetes is that we have been misinformed. A lot of people think it's the sugar disease, but actually it's the meat. The meat is what actually causes diabetes. We sometimes, and I was eating meat every day, bacon and biscuits for breakfast. You know, that is one thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even the smell of bacon triggers me a little bit. And this probably sounds disgusting. My dog has bacon in his dog food, and sometimes I'm triggered by that. So bacon, it just smells good. But that meat as a whole, it sits in the digestive system. And what happens is the hormones and the toxins are basically just flowing through your blood and they're not properly flushed out. Now, you see that this highest percentage is hypertension. 47% of us are suffering from high blood pressure. And what I've learned about high blood pressure, I want to create an analogy for you because no one has really explained this to me before. When you are feeding yourself, your basically things are running through your blood. So I want you to think about your blood as a stream running through your body. And when you have toxins and other things in your blood system, it's kind of like it's stopping it up so that blood just can't flow as easily. You just got so much blockage. But when you release those toxins and eat the foods that properly flush out those toxins, your blood can flow more easily and it's not as much pressure. That's all high blood pressure is. So, what I learned when the migraines decrease and I'm going to the doctor and they're taking my blood pressure and they're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm flushing out those toxins so that my blood can flow through my body more easily. 11% of us have food allergies. I think that a lot of these allergies are due to the fact that there is so much man-made food. If you look at the back of the ingredients, we can't even pronounce half of the ingredients. And true story, I worked out today and then I went to Ian Rose, not bashing Ian Rose, and there's a certain ingredient called creatine. And she suggested that I put that in my smoothie because it's a great post-workout smoothie. And then I looked back at her and I said, what is it? What is creatine? She took the package, she handed it to me, and I'm just like, okay. And I read it and I said, I still don't understand what it is. She looked at it and she says, ma'am, I don't know what it is either. So we have people in this industry just feeding us so much and they don't even know what it is. So how in the world are you going to help me and you don't even know what this is? So I said politely, Simba, please don't do this. Just so that everybody say hey to Simba. I said politely to her, I'm going to pass on the creatine because you guys don't even know what it is. And I'm going to get another smoothie. So I say all that to say we live in a world where food is just shoved down our throat and they don't even know what it is. And so I am on this plant-based lifestyle. A lot of people make fun of how I cook. I cook these bowls and they're literally, if you want to call them sides, it's plant-based food. I'm going to maybe add some sweet potatoes, asparagus, maybe some broccoli, some quinoa, but everything on my plate needs to have some color and hopefully some seeds. And the last thing that I want you leaders to think about before I go to the next slide is how much processed food are you eating during the week? I know you're busy, and I know meal prepping may not be something that you feel like you have time for, but we make time for what we want. But how much processed food is actually sitting in your gut, y'all? That is literally toxic. And that processed food is not properly being digested. That's why we're seeing a lot of these issues. So please write this down. This source is coming from Hack Your Health. This is a documentary on Netflix. I've actually watched this documentary 3 times because it is breaking down how the gut works. And I'm going to do a quick breakdown in about 1 minute so you can understand how the gut works. And once we understand how the gut works and we give it what it needs, it rewards us because the gut is really the soul of the body. Thank you. Hack Your Health on Netflix. Uh-oh. So, how the gut works is there are things called microbes, and these are the tiny microscopic organisms that live in your gut. And they each play a specific role. Some of those roles are digestion, some of those roles are related to hormones. And so I'm getting closer to 40, and I'm hearing this conversation a lot with the women around me. Menopause. Menopause is something that, women, we go through, and it's hormonal. And I've actually, it's kind of been stressing me out. I'm like, I'm not there yet, but I'm hearing about it, and it just sounds like a mess. But what I'm learning is this is a natural part of life. But what can we do, ladies and men, to prevent some of these things that are going to happen anyway? And if you are not juicing, I've read about this, ladies. If you're going through this, juicing is actually something that can help to eliminate these symptoms because you are feeding your gut and those microbes the nutrients that it needs, and it's going to be able to help you to feel better. Was somebody wanting to come off mute? I think I heard something. I want to make sure nobody had a question. Esther said it's a mess. Oh, I know. Um, yeah. Okay. Hack Your Health, check it out. Somebody is not on mute, but just make sure you are. I'm going to keep going. All right, so I just describe what the microbiome is. It's a microscopic life in your body that has the roles. And this is the part that really fascinated me, and I'm going to do this definition right. 90% of serotonin is made in the gut. Let me tell you what that is. It is a chemical that carries messages between nerve cells in the brain and throughout the body. So think about this. You're leading, you got to have that brain just, you need to be quick. We do a lot of things. So you got to think if the gut is sending the signals to the body and you have a toxic gut, you are not the best version of yourself. And I can say just from comparing the old Ashley to the new Ashley, my mindset and how I lead and my memory is completely different. So your gut actually impacts your mood, your focus, your mental clarity, and that inflammation. And so I think about some of the tasks that I had to complete with, I say, the old Ashley. And some of those tasks were daunting. It took me forever. I couldn't remember. My attention span was like a mustard seed. Everything has changed, and it's all because I have changed the organisms within my gut. And so this is why energy matters in leadership. It gives you high energy. It provides clarity and also creativity. And this goes back to that question that I asked before. We all have been managed by a leader that did not have the right energy. Their energy was just off. And it could be they've had some outside things going on in their family life, personal. But I truly believe a lot of times it has to do with the gut. What type of things are flowing through their blood? Are they eating nutritious food that's giving them the type of energy? I used to drink coffee every single morning. And that's another smell. I gave up coffee too, y'all. That's another smell that is very triggering for me. It smells really good. Really, really good. But I thought about it. I'm like, I just woke up. How am I already tired? It's it's 7 a.m. We're tired. So my routine, and I'll talk about this later, this is my coffee. Now, juice is the very first thing or fruit that I want in my system before I lead anybody. So that also requires preparation. If my refrigerator doesn't have fruit in it and I've got a call in 10 minutes, then I'm gonna go to old habits. So you gotta be able to prepare to have these things that are accessible. Low energy creates stress, And I remember saying this to people all the time. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. It's like, why are we so stressed? Self-doubt. I would get in front of people, pulling on my clothes because I didn't feel comfortable. Going back, I'm in front of the camera a lot. So when I look at myself, I want to be satisfied. And I remember looking back at myself, nitpicking, like, I can't post that video because my gut is on top of my pants. And I don't want it to look like that. So think about the things that are preventing you to lead, and it may be because of what is in your gut. Because at the end of the day, and I'm gonna end with this for this slide, your wellness is your foundation. We can go to get personal training, we can go to the sauna, we can go to all these spas and try to lose the weight and release the toxins. But at the end of the day, if you have a toxic gut, you're wasting your time and money. I worked out so much, paid all these personal trainers, and was still at that 220 pounds. And let me say this, 220 pounds for a Black woman that is 5'7" was actually glorified. What do we say? She's thick. She's thick. She's curvy. And I want us to really start to hold ourselves accountable, because although it may, from a mainstream point, look great, but at the end of the day, I had so many issues when I was thick. And I feel so much better I am 165. Again, that was about 55 pounds. And I really truly feel like this is the body that God really created me to perform in. Like, this is the temple, this is the instrument, and this is the way that I have felt my absolute best. The apron belly is no joke. I've never heard that. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going, y'all. Okay, so let's talk about some red flags. And this is where I'm about to get a little tough love. So bloating. A lot of us, first of all, let me start with this. Eating should not be painful. I have, as I read, I read about some of the things that people are going through as they try to transition. And one of the things I want you to ask yourself is, when I eat, is it painful? Am I bloated? Do I have a lot of gas? And y'all, let's just be honest. Sometimes our family and our friends don't even want to be around us because we smell so bad. But let me tell you, you're not supposed to smell like that. Digestion and the body after you eat, it is not supposed to be that way. Brain fog. You can't remember anything. Your team is depending on you and you are struggling. You can't even lead and delegate because you can't even remember what you're delegating. Mood swings. Now, I know as women, we have hormonal, and men, because y'all, some of y'all hormones are out of whack and y'all are a little moody as well. But your hormones are actually directly correlated to what's happening in your gut, as I mentioned before. And cravings. I do want to spend some time on cravings. So back in the day, the old Ashley, after a stressful day, there is a food item that I would go to, and I was an emotional eater, and it would soothe me. And that item is chips. I love me some chips. I could eat about 3 or 4 bags of chips, feel like crap afterwards, but it just did something to my brain. But what I realize is that those microbes that I talked about in your gut, if you continue to feed them BS, guess what? They start to continue to crave the BS. So what I did is I eliminated those the fake food, and the cravings actually decrease. So I want you to think about it. When you have a sweet tooth or you're craving something, it's actually not you. It's not you. It's actually the parasites and the toxins in your body saying, feed me. I want some more of that sugar. I want some more of that salt, or even possibly I want some more of that alcohol. And I'm going to stop and pause because I've been talking for a minute. Does anybody have any questions? And I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well. Okay, I see my juicing sister on here, Kara. She knows what I'm talking about. Juicing is a vibe. Get into it. All right, so eat like a leader, because it does what? It reduces inflammation in the body. A lot of us are walking around overweight. And I even hear my parents now talking about, oh, my doctor said I've got some inflammation in my knees and my elbows. And now my mother is juicing. She's getting off her medication. Inflammation can be flushed out with fruits, berries, antioxidants. So in the morning, that's why I drink my fruit. I don't want to start off my day with sugar. I want to start off my day with antioxidants. I want you to think of antioxidants as a natural form of energy. It's just literally the fastest way. Juice is the fastest way to flush your body with nutrients, which are antioxidants. They feed those microbes in your gut the energy that they need, and they flow through your blood, and they help you to properly detox. Healthy fats. A lot of people ask me this question, and it is the most annoying and ignorant question. If you don't eat meat, and I'm imitating because I'm being a little petty, but they ask me, if you don't eat meat, how are you getting your protein? Okay, so let's talk about this. Meat is not the only way to get your proteins, people. I get my protein from a number of ways. I mentioned that from quinoa. I said I will make me a bowl with quinoa. There are some nuts that have certain proteins. And I'm not saying that you guys have to eliminate meat altogether. But if I were you and I really wanted to live a long, long time and not have issues later on, I would eat the least amount of meat as possible. Avocados are another great form of a plant-based protein because they are all giving you gut support. Um, I do want to hit one more thing, and I hope this is not TMI, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. When you are on this process of losing weight, becoming a better leader, getting the clarity that you need, fixing your gut, there are three ways to eliminate toxins out of the body. And I actually learned this lesson from a microscopist. I was shadowing a microscopist for a while, and what they do is they look at people's blood underneath the microscope. And so when they look at that, they're able to see parasites, they're able to see how your cells are repairing. And that's a whole nother talk that I could chat about. How you replenish your cells and how the weakened cells actually die off, and that actually increases weight loss. But there are three ways to eliminate toxins out of the body: working out and sweating. The other two ways are peeing and pooping. And so I get this question a lot. And I know this is a personal topic, but we need to talk about it. People ask me, because I also offer juice services, and they ask me this question. They say, when I juice, am I going to have to go to the bathroom a lot? I don't want to do that. Absolutely. That's the entire point. You need to go to the bathroom because your gut is holding on to basically just shit, just nasty, just toxic things that your body should be filtering out. So, yes, when you juice, yes, when you eat fruits and berries that are very high in fiber, you're going to use the bathroom. But, y'all, that is the goal. Release. And I'm going to say one more thing, and I'm going to go to the next slide. A lot of people ask me, how many times a day should you be using the bathroom? Let's talk about it. If you and I had my nieces and nephews for a while, and I don't have kids, but I just watch and I ask questions, and I notice, I'm like, y'all not going to the bathroom. So you should be going to the bathroom at least, and I'm talking about doing number two, at least 3 or 4 times a day. A lot of people cannot lose the weight because they're simply not using the bathroom enough. So again, I'm going back to that juicer and the juicing. If you are having issues, you're having a leaky gut, start with fruits. That is a gift from God, and it's going to really help your gut to get in balance so that you can start using the bathroom more. All right. Make it a habit. I mentioned this. Let me check the comments. What is the best juicer to get? Jahara, I said the Nama. Let me put it in the chat. Nama juicer. Now, this is not a little cheap juicer. This juicer is going to be a $500 investment. If you're not completely dedicated to it, just go on Amazon and invest in a juicer that's maybe 150 bucks. Great question. Yes, and I want to talk to you. Everybody that's saying juice and change your life, I want to be around you guys because it's all about accountability. And so, yes, Miss Franklin, I would love to connect with you afterwards. So, pick a prep day. For me, Sunday, I go to actually an international grocery store. I live in North Nashville, and I have learned that these international grocery stores have the best produce. And the Publix and Whole Foods, all that is great. But for price, I'm getting seeded watermelons from these international grocery stores. I'm getting some exotic fruit. I love pomegranates, dragon fruit, kiwi, fresh berries, fresh strawberries, blueberries. And the way that they even take care of their fruit is on a whole different level. So if you have an international grocery store by you, I know sometimes, it's not familiar, so we never go in. I encourage you, just park and go in and just check it out. Even if you don't buy anything, just I want you to see the difference in how they manage their produce. Keep it simple. Y'all, I can't cook. And I say it all the time. And it's actually easier for me to cook now. And I say, if I can do this, anybody can. It is easier to eat on a plant-based diet because there's not a lot of ingredients. I'm literally getting vegetables. I'm putting it in my cast iron skillet. I'm adding maybe some avocado oil, minimal seasoning. I'm putting it all in a bowl, maybe adding a little sauce, and it's delicious. And I can feel the difference. I don't feel like I need a nap right after I eat lunch or dinner. It's actually fueling me. And so when I go to lead, I'm not feeling sluggish because I have the right things in my gut. But at the end of the day, we need to prioritize hydration and rest because as a leader, if you're leading on E, I can guarantee you your team can recognize that. So, my daily wellness routine, fasting. I'm gonna spend just a little bit of time on fasting. We talked about the juice, but y'all, fasting has was also a game changer on my weight loss journey. Let me tell you why. I will answer your question right in a second, Miss Ann. Fasting actually gives your digestive system a break. So this is the problem, y'all. We eat extremely too much. We eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner with some snacks probably in between. But our digestive system is actually exhausted. And I want you to think about something. If you had to run on a treadmill day and night, you running on that treadmill, you run and you never get a break, wouldn't you be exhausted? And that's the same things that those microbes in your gut are saying. They're exhausted. They're always digesting food. So when you fast, you're giving your digestive system a break. So this is my eating schedule. We know this as intermittent fasting. That is a fancy Americanized term that is actually the way that our bodies, I believe, was created to digest food. You should be eating between like 11 or 7 or 12 and 8. You should have continue to rest in the morning and allow your digestive system to finish flushing out those toxins. Also allowing your cells to replenish. But then also, if you are eating right before you go to bed, y'all, that is very dangerous. And over time, we pay for it because when we rest, our digestive system should be resting as well. Midday movement. I have found myself, I can sit in front of this laptop for probably 3 or 4 hours, and y'all, that's not great. So, I do have a dog. I try to take Simba out to walk, or I just walk around the neighborhood myself. But we've got to have consistent movement. And actually, movement also helps you to digest your food, including a mental break. It's also just taking a break from these screens. And then in the evening, I try, still working on this, actually shut down my laptop by at least 6. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Getting off this phone, some of us are scrolling where your thumb is even sore because you've been scrolling for so long. You just got to take a break and allow your full body to rest. Okay, so let me look at these questions. Miss Ann said, how do you feel about buying juice from businesses? You can do that, but if you want to you can save so much money by investing in your own juice. Juices now are expensive, and that's what I learned. By the time that I continue to go to Urban Juicer or some of our black-owned juices, which I love, Energy Juicing in Yoga, the City Juicery, and there's one more off of Church Street. I support them as well, but if you really want to make this a lifestyle, you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck by just buying the juice and purchasing your own ingredients. Okay, let's see. Let's see. What about the farmers market? I love the farmers market, but the farmers market is high. You know, I compare the watermelons. I can get a seeded watermelon Jahara from the farmers market for about $12, sometimes 15, or I could go to the international grocery store and get it for 10. How do you feel? How often should you go grocery shopping for produce? Great question. So juicing, if you're going to do that, 72 hours. And I have even learned that after that 72 hours, it starts to taste a little weird. So you want to consume all of your juices if you're juicing within 3 days. So if you need to go to the grocery store every 3 or 4 days, twice a week, that's what I would do. Do you recommend working out after juicing? Absolutely. So when I first started, um, Dr. Paris, I lied to myself and I was like, I'm too weak to work out. But now I don't have a choice because after losing the 55 pounds, let me just say this, I lost all my assets. And so I'm rebuilding from the ground up. I've got to lift heavy. It's almost like I'm rebuilding my house. I've got a foundation, but now I've got to really lift heavy to rebuild those muscles. So, yes, continue to work out. And if you want to do things like Pilates, something easy, yoga, maybe you may feel too weak to do like a HIIT class or something like that. But yoga and Pilates is a great form of workout to incorporate with juicing. If Jahara said, if you eat at 11 to 7 or 12 to 8, do you juice before or after workout? Yes. And what I also love to do is smoothies after a workout. I could have drunk my juice before this call, after my workout, but that smoothie is going to have more of some of those heavier fruits that are going to replenish you after that workout. Great questions, guys. Let's see, we're at 11:42. Okay, that was it. That was it. Shakana, I am done. I hope that you guys,
I have a question.
yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question is, I came late, so I didn't hear everything, but I did hear when you said that you didn't feel confident when you were taking pictures and stuff like that. And that really hit home for me because I feel that way as well. That's why I don't like posting social medias. I don't like taking pictures. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
doing anything when it comes to being on camera, being on social media, because I don't feel comfortable with how I look. And so, what's your advice on that? Because I want to be able, because I know we worked together in the past about that, and I was just like, I don't want to, like,
Let
and
me
but
ask
I
you this, Shakana.
know that that's stagnating my business. Is not I, like I'm keeping me from growing my business because I refuse to be on the internet and stuff like that because I'm so self-conscious about like how I look, my body and stuff like that. So I'm just so glad that you're talking about this because yeah. And I just
So
started Pilates yesterday too on
let
this
me ask
app.
you this, and you don't have to answer. How much weight do you feel like you need to lose to feel confident again?
I say about 35 pounds, 30 to 35 pounds.
So you can do that as quick as you want to do. But my advice, I'm gonna give you some tips. Eliminate the meat. If you could just eat meat maybe for one meal, I would stay away from pork altogether. And I would, if I were you, eat as much fruits and vegetables as possible. Do you like fruits and vegetables?
I do. I love fruits and vegetables. And but that's the thing, like I have kids, so like I'm not just, cooking for me. I have to cook for them, but it's like they
Well,
so picky. The baby, I could transform the baby. That's fine.
mhm.
But the teenagers is the issue. But I really want to do it for me, and then they see it, and then boom, they follow in line.
So do they buy their own food?
Yeah, on DoorDash with their money, but
Oh,
I don't buy it,
okay.
but I cook. I do cook. And it's like I've been because I never ate pork growing up, but like I eat a lot of chicken, eat a lot of turkey, you know what I'm saying? Eat I started back eating a lot of beef, and that's probably where all this weight then came from. But
Yeah,
I
you
always
got a overload of toxins in your bloodstream, and go ahead and get that juicer off Amazon. Did I see somebody drop something in the chat
okay,
about a juicer?
okay,
Yeah, I believe
In Paris.
Dr. Paris dropped the link for the juicer.
Oh, they have
okay.
on Amazon. Yes. So,
Yeah, it's Prime Week this week.
oh, and look, $400 for this juicer is actually not a bad deal. I actually paid more for mine, but this Nama juicer is a game changer. If you don't want to start there, like I said, get a cheaper one, reduce the meat, start juicing, start making. You're gonna have to change the whole household. And when I say this, I'm not trying to be funny. I love my family to death, but they love to eat. And I spent a lot of time with them. We had a family reunion and then we had a trip. Guess what, y'all? I gained about 5 pounds this month. And I'm like, dang, environment is everything. And although I don't eat meat, just being around them with food being just so much a part of their life, I was just snacking on those chips and things. And now, after 3 or 4 weeks, I can see a difference. It's all about environment, Jahara. So you got to figure out, if I prepare dinner, how can I start making these healthy dinners exciting for them? Because if one person is cooking bacon for breakfast, it's going to be very hard for you to want to just drink this juice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And you got it. Any other questions?
Well, I have one more question. What's
Okay.
some good like
Hi, Ashley.
recipes?
Oh,
Recipes.
okay. Let me address the recipes and then I'll take the next question. So, and I need to go ahead and drop this recipe book. I'm working on it. Really, and this sounds almost like it's too simple. If you just go to the produce store and get some of your favorite vegetables and put them in a bowl and add your favorite seasoning and a sauce, you have a simple plant-based meal. And I mentioned I love stuff like sweet potatoes, asparagus. I add some broccoli, quinoa, some cabbage, avocado, and it's fire and it's very fulfilling. So don't overthink the recipes. Think plant-based and bowls. Okay. Miss Scott, did you have a question? Oh,
Okay, I don't know what happened to my camera, but thank you
I see.
for sharing the info. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for sharing the info on the juicing. I do think that juicing can change lives. And I know we've talked about this before in terms of what we eat and how it actually impacts how your diseases or conditions, how well controlled they can be or how out of control they can be just based off of what you eat. I will say, as a caveat, in listening to this, the pharmacist in me is like, okay, we want to be cautionary for diabetics, people
Correct.
who have diabetes. And if you're interested in doing juicing, just make sure that one, you talk with a healthcare professional that can help guide you to those things and those fruits that have a low glycemic index. What that means is that fruit has sugar. It's called fructose. It may not be sugar that you know about, but it's fructose. And your body does not make a differentiation between fructose, white table sugar, or candy sugar, donut sugar. It's all sugar to the body. So just please be careful when you go to look at your fruits. If you don't know what low glycemic fruits are, Google it. I promise you, it'll pull up a whole list of things that can help you on your juicing path because you want to stay healthy. And if you have a health condition, you definitely don't want to exacerbate it while you're trying to do the right thing. Another piece of info, Ashley, that I have for you about your assets, I put it in the chat. While you're working out, you're actually breaking down muscle. That's why when you finish working out, your muscles are tired
Mm-hmm.
or they may feel sore. what you need to help rebuild those assets is protein. So as soon as you finish working out, you may want to consume a protein shake, or you may want, if you're making it yourself and you want to put some nuts to get your protein, or put some beans to get your protein, whatever you use to get your protein in, that's what you want to consume after your workout to help rebuild the muscle that you have broken down during the workout process. Other than
Yeah.
that, that's all my 2 cents that I wanted to add in. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. And that's what I had mentioned, Dr. Sky. After this workout, I have to be careful because a lot of these juice bars, they don't even know what type was in these proteins. They're just like, here, take some creatine. And I'm like, what is that? And she turned bloodshot red and had no idea. So that's why my blender in my kitchen is where I'm at.
Yeah, y'all have to, and I think if you, even if you want to do yogurt, yogurt has, if you use Greek yogurt has a lot of protein, not the sugary yogurt or with the fruit in the bottom. Yeah, that all tastes good, but in actuality, that's not really all that healthy. You might as well just buy you a candy bar. But it's going to take some research, I will say, when you go down this path and making food choices. A
Mhm.
little bit of research on the front end can save you a lot of time, energy, and effort on the back end, and it can get you to your results faster just by making the right choices on the front end.
Absolutely. And so, guys, I have created this resource hub. If you want to scan this QR code, I've been adding resources about juicing. If you're in Nashville, I've also been delivering juices and having pickup options. I offer a gallon and 2 gallons. And if you've never done a complete juice cleanse, even if it's for one day, I've done it for up to 7 days where I've just drunk nothing but juice. I know some people have done like these water cleanses. I've never done a water fast. I may do that before the summer is out, but this is just another way to reset your gut, give it a break, and really just lead the best way that you can. So make sure you click on that QR code and take advantage of all of those resources.
Thank
Okay.
you.
If y'all don't
Thanks
have
for
any more questions, I am all done. Thank you guys for listening.
any more questions or comments before we move on?
Hey, Shikana, it's Esther. I know before I put a message in there and Dr. Paris laughed at me and said it was not that bad, but I am going through, I am like right in the middle of that perimenopause, and it's crazy and it's like taking me to the next level. And I feel like it is where my weight is. And I want to know if there is a way from like you young ones who have not got to the menopause yet, what can you do to reduce the effect of menopause, like by what you are eating or health wise, how you're taking care of your body? Can that reduce the effects of menopause as you get to this age? I am 57, so I love my age. I'm not afraid of saying my age, but the menopause, it's at the next level, really. The hot flashes, insomnia. Okay, wait. I have a grandson here. Insomnia is crazy. So, if is there anything like that, Ashley, like you can put together and send to us what in your research and things that you have done, um, what can we do to reduce that? I'm already there, so I have to take care of where I am right now. But you who have not gone through it, what can you do to reduce that so that I can give that to my daughter?
Yeah. And what it boils down to is having a healthy gut.
Yes.
Remember, I had mentioned that those microbes in your gut have certain roles and functions, and those are related to hormones. So when you have a more alkaline system, eating a lot of fiber, fruits, and vegetables, you are going to be able to manage those hormones and feel a lot better. So yes, I'm 37, haven't going through that change yet, but my advice would be just to fix the gut. And you fix the gut by eliminating toxins and eating more fiber with your fruits and vegetables and incorporating juicing.
And Esther, this is Kara. I can attest to that too with being diagnosed initially with PMDD. Um, and that's basically premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And I've been juicing for 3 years. And when I say it totally took away those symptoms, all of the symptoms, which were very pre I was pre-diabetic, pre-menopause. My symptoms have eliminated. And, you know, we have to think about a lot of the medical field is through the lens of whiteness. And so my sister's a ER doctor. We battle on these conversations because oftentimes they're coming from, it's a practice and it comes through the lens of sickness, right? So it's not thinking about changing the environment, it's how do you maintain the current environment. So it doesn't oftentimes get to the root of the causes of changing your diet so that you can get off. It's not there to heal, it's there to address symptoms. And so make sure, as the sister said, do your research, but also be aware that there's a lot of lack of information from the, and it's a I'm not anti-medical system because it's a need for it, but there is through a lens of being sick. And that's why looking at indigenous practices is key. Looking at terms like healing versus sickness and symptoms. And to your question, so I know that you're saying you're in it, but don't underestimate reversing some of those symptoms by changing the environment in which is causing the symptoms. So I just wanted to add that from a person that if y'all know me, y'all know I'm gonna have a juice in my hand, not just because of the physicalness of it, but the mental of this, the leadership development that came with that. So I can honestly say I'm demonstrated what she's talking about, and it can really start to relieve those symptoms that you're referring to. I know it seems so simple, it seems hard, right? But our body was built to heal itself and to do what it needs to do to keep us living, right? And so I just wanted to add that to the conversation. Thank you, Ash. You know I'm so passionate about this. So thank you for taking up this space, sister.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you. That is really good. Thank you.
We have a question in the chats. Renee said, any recommendations on local root cause wellness doctors? If anybody wants to speak to that or come off mute or drop in the chat, if anybody can have any insight to Renee's question.
I'll add this. My mentor, who's helped me through this, his name is Mike True. He's actually a vegan chef. He owns Trippy's. He has a food truck, if you guys are familiar with that, but I will leave his website here.
Thank you, Ashley.
I have
Anyone?
one more question. Yes. What do y'all think about like a certified dietitian? Because I had just seen, it's crazy we're talking about this. I had just scrolling on Instagram and seen like a link about like dietitian. And so, and it says that your insurance covers it. And then I went on my insurance app and it does cover it. And I just wanted to ask, how do you feel about that for people that got pre-existing conditions?
Ooh, I'm sorry, you may not want to hear this. Uh, I don't know. I have a love and hate relationship with the Americanized version of dietitians and nutritionists because I don't completely agree with some of the practices because it's not fully most of the time plant-based. Um,
Right. And it's not geared for us. I understand that. That's why I asked, because I didn't want to waste my time going through that process and then they're telling me to eat the same food I'm already eating and I'm trying to get away. So I just needed a real answer behind that.
yeah, and that's really the only response I can give because I don't know. I don't want to undermine anybody that may be in this industry, but I just have found that with the right discipline and maybe a coach, I mean, I know it's hard, especially if you got a lot of outside factors, but what it really boils down to is the fasting and eating the right foods and fixing your gut. And maybe it's that you just need a list of the foods that you can make. And you know what? I did send a list of foods to my family. I got your number. I'm gonna text you some of these recipes.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you, Ashley. This is, I mean, clearly a topic that people are becoming very passionate about. I'm excited to see and hear, growing up in a family where people were chronically sick, even when we see it in movies, you know, the grandma would die and they would be serving the same food that killed her at the family.
Fried chicken.
That part.
Fried chicken. No, fried chicken at funerals. It is.
Like, if Big Mama died from diabetes and high blood pressure, why is we serving this food at the repast?
Yeah.
So I'm just so glad to see that our people are evolving and having these hard conversations, especially the women in the Black community. This is just such a well-needed conversation. And so thank you, Ashley, for being so transparent. Even if you have any curiosities about, well, what does this have to do with my leadership skills? Like Ashley alluded to, the amount of discipline that it takes just to in your own household to maintain this type of diet, and to hold yourself accountable, it automatically bleeds into your leadership styles in so many ways. So thank you, Kara, and you know everybody that came off mute and spoke to even just how their experience with juicing has helped. I know that we are at time. If you have to hop off, I am, thank you for being able to join today's call and being involved and present for this conversation. If you would like to stay on for a few minutes, if you have any announcements, flyers you'd like to drop in the chat, feel free to do so. I'll stay on if you guys would like to make any announcements. I see some flyers are already coming through. We have just a quick shout out. If you work in the arts, mental health, youth development, our community impact grant at Community Foundation is open from July 1st to July 31st. I'm about to drop that link in the chat. Please, 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 take a look at that grant application. Again, if you work in arts or mental health or youth development, that will be open from July 1st to July 31st. We will also be in person at Turk in a few weeks. The information to that is in the newsletter. I will also drop that in the chat, but just wanted to give those two quick shout outs. And I will make some time for people to come off mute now if you guys like to do so. If you have to jump, thank you for joining the call and enjoy your week.
Hey, Shikana, I have already dropped our save the date flyer in there. We have health fair coming, and I will reach back to you. I have already just gotten confirmation. We are moving it from Community Foundation to Lobby Community Center because of the community that we are trying to reach out, which is our Black and Brown community. And we looking at the Community Foundation is going to be too far for us to be able to reach all the communities that we want to reach. Parks and Recs have come into the partnership to be able to give us that space so that we'll be able to be there. So I have that flyer there, and I will really love to reach out to Ashley because underlining all the things that we are going to be doing, screenings and all the things we are going to be doing there. This information we received today, it is the prevention of so much of what we're going to be screening for that day. So I would love to reach out to Ashley and see if you can be part of this. So
What's
it's
the
going to
date
be
again, Ashley?
August 30th, and I think Dr. Scott can jump into it too because we are partnering with Dr. Scott and the Red Cross doing this. We're going to have mammograms there too.
Got it.
Mhm.
I think this will be a great time to get people out to donate blood. I know we haven't talked about blood in a while. Sickle Cell Awareness Month is coming up soon in September, but just to highlight, we need blood every day of the year, not just for people who have sickle cell disease. We need blood for everything from surgeries, car accidents, you chemotherapies, like people that are going through cancer. Sometimes they're in need of blood transfusions. In addition to people who have sickle cell disease who rely on blood transfusions to help save their lives. Some have to do this as frequently as once a month. Some may go every other week. the downside is that during the summer months, there's a huge shortage in blood supply. And what that means, there's even more of a shortage of Black and brown blood. So at the health fair that Esther is speaking of, we'll have the Red Cross there. And this is also an opportune time for people of color to donate blood. It's important for people of color to donate blood because our blood, it's different. And I'm not just saying that to be funny. Our red blood cells have different sets of proteins on the surface that it allows the recipient to not develop reactions when that blood is given to a person that is of Black or brown ethnicity. So it's so important for us to donate blood. And this is an opportunity, I think, that where one pint of blood can save 3 lives. So one blood donation can save 3 lives. So just take heed, I would say. Check out Esther's flyer and come out and join us.
Thank you, Dr. Scott and Miss Esther for coming off mute and speaking to that. Definitely we'll make sure we get that um pressed out and have that on people's calendars. Anybody else need to come off mute before we hop off?
What is TIRCC?
It's Turk. It's just Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee. It's a building that I'll have the address in the newsletter, but Turk just stands for the name of the building in the org. Alrighty, if all hearts and minds are clear, I did drop the link to that grant in the chat, as well as the information for our in-person meeting this month. We will be virtual next week, and then the week after that we will be in person. Make sure you just phone a friend, let them know that we'll be in person July 23rd, and we will see you guys virtual next week on next week's call. And I hope you guys enjoy your week. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, Ashley.